A very good evening and warm welcome to one and all present over here. I welcome all of you for this webinar on creative thinking. Thank you for joining. And before we start, I would just like all of you to show me a thumbs up if you are happy, excited for this webinar, and also in the chat box, quickly if you could type, how are you feeling today? I would expect responses from everyone, and it will be really good if you could switch on your cameras. Yes, you're feeling good? Very much excited. Okay. And good.
Good.
Wonderful. Okay. So now that we all are excited, I would request all of you to kindly meet yourselves. Okay. Now let's begin. What is creative thinking according to you? If you can now just quickly type in the chat box in just one line or maybe one word. What is creative thinking according to you? Outer box. Okay. Anything else? What is creative thinking? Have we practiced it in our classrooms? In our subject-related activities? In our extracurriculars? Yes, I'm sure we all have, right? So creative thinking is something which is the necessity of today. It is something out of curiosity. Yes, thinking differently, finding how and why of what. Thinking differently, correct. So all of this is creative thinking. So now let's see what is creative thinking in detail, and we will today explore different ways in which we can inculcate the tools to practice better management and better creative thinking practices in our classrooms. In this slide, you can see 3 images, right? Out of these 3, as educators, as teachers, if I ask you to give a grade to all of these, which one would you grade the most? The first image, the second image, or the third one? In the first one, you can see that there is a tree. Okay. In the second one, you can see a flower that's multicolored. And in the third one, you can see a black and white art form. According to you, which one is the best? Or which one would you give a grade A? Type in the chat box, all of you. Which is the best? Which one is the best? Yes, the artwork. And B, okay. Vishnu sir, any reason why B? Black and white. Okay, so we all have different thoughts. Okay, very colorful. For me to be, okay. So here we see that all of us have different perceptions of creativity, right? Some of us can like the first one, some of us can like the second preference or the third one. Now, when we are teaching in the classrooms, we aren't supposed to say this to our kids that this is the best or this is the least. Rather, our approach as educators can be to just encourage the child and motivate the child to put forward the potentials in the best possible way. Mini ma'am, if you could mute yourself. Thank you. So in this way, we can encourage our children to be more creative. For instance, if a child makes an image with black and white colors, it's beautiful in its own way. And if the child is ready to explore the colors, to see the world, and the child makes it colorful, attractive, multicolor, it's not bad either. Okay? So what is creativity now? Creativity is the ability to generate and recognize ideas, alternatives, possibilities. It helps us in solving our problems. It helps us to communicate better. It's about what you do and how you do. And everyone can learn. This is something as educators we should firmly believe, and we should also encourage our children, because as parents, maybe some of us, or maybe as teachers, the parents come to you and they might say that, ma'am, my child doesn't know how to make this, or my child is not creative. Maybe my child doesn't have it in her or him. So this is something that we should know, that it is creativity doesn't depend on the ability that we are born with. Some of us are born with this capability, and some of us, we can inculcate it for sure at any possible age. Only we should have the zeal to do it. Right? It's about new ideas which help us in our everyday, day-to-day life also, and otherwise as well. Moving forward, what is the importance of creative thinking in our life? Why is creative thinking very important? It's important because it allows self-expression. This is something that we all should remember, that a child should get some space, some time to express himself and herself. And by letting the child explore all the creative ways, we allow him or her to be self-expressive, verbally or non-verbally. It fosters problem solving. So we as teachers, even if we are there with them, even if we are not there with them, the child can solve his or her own problems, whether it is academics, whether it is something at home, whether it is anywhere. It helps in building resiliency also. Now, we all know that there are problems that we face with every age, and we all should have some skills to cope with them.
What?
And creativity helps us in achieving those skills. Right? This is something that's very important, and we should all remember. It also makes people happier, and it also makes them physically and mentally fit. There are many researchers that have come out which promotes this thing that if people are more creative, people are more happier. So it is indeed very important for all of us as teachers and also for students. Now, as parents, we can suggest few things, or as teachers, maybe we can suggest a few things to the parents, that creativity is something that we can spark at home also. It is not something that we should only do at school. Rather, it works in collaboration. So sparking creativity, it will be like, the first thing that we all can know is, the first thing that we all should remember is this. Slow it down, unplug, and lighten up the schedule. So as parents, we should all help the children to make a schedule that's flexible, giving the child enough time to do what the child really likes, instead of just packing the schedule all together, right? We should give some time. And the second thing that we can do is allow time and space for play. We are all worried as educators about their academics, but we should also give the child some time, some free time for herself and himself, and let the child just do something that they really like, something that's very essential, something that's helping them in the future. Some other ways. First one is, listen to your child's interest and support their passions. This is something we should all just be very supportive of, because as parents or as teachers, we can just suggest them, or rather advise them that this is something that you should do. But instead of just putting their interests off, we should just ask them. We should facilitate that what is something that you like? What is something that makes you happy? And what is something, a particular skill which you want to build on? It can be art, it can be drama, it can be music, it can be so much more. But let's be supportive of their passions, right? Another important way that we can spark their creativity is through encouraging patience, persistence, and hard work. This is something we should all let the child explore and also learn. Whenever we are doing a particular artwork, let's say you are making a painting and you're coloring with watercolors. So you should be enough patient to let the colors dry. If you are doing a thread work, the threads can get entangled. So you should be mindful of using the different colors, the threads, the weaves, and you should be cautious of using the needle for that matter, right? So we all should encourage patience, persistence, and hard work. In this way, when the child comes to grade, say, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, by this time, the child will be able to independently make models and projects and anything that's demanded out of them, provided in the formative years, we give the child some time to do it. Another important thing that's something that we should keep in mind is creative opportunities for creative self-expression. If we want a child to express himself or herself in a creative way, in a different way, to explore different ways, right, then we should also give creative opportunities. We should create opportunities for them. It's not only the music period or the art period that's responsible for creativity. Rather, it can be any period for that matter. It can be social science, it can be mathematics, it can be English. There are many ways to do it. I'll be talking about the different ways you can do it in different subjects, but this is something I would strongly support. Self-expression and opportunities. Also, we should remember that supporting the child in building a network of social support helps in the long run for them. There are different struggles that they are facing socially and emotionally. And all of these things, they are able to help themselves. They are able to become better problem solvers by channelizing their creative energy, provided they have a good social support system with them in place. And when they are doing any creative projects and collaboration in teamwork for which we are grading them, they are collaborating with their peers. We can also go ahead with self-assessment or peer assessments. And by the way of their interaction, their engagements with each other, they are building on their support system. So giving those activities in your academic subjects, maybe for some 5-10 minutes, or just letting, them do a different kind of a variety of activities in the clubs would help them to bring social groups. To boost their creativity, this is one of the techniques that you can do. Play one of these games. It can be a starter for you. So first is turn familiar objects upside down, literally. Okay. Turning familiar objects upside down, and that too literally. If you are walking through a place where everything is very neat and clean and tidy, maybe that doesn't catch your attention so fast. But if the things are kept upside down, if there is a difference in the font, okay, or the colors, something really unusual, it becomes very catchy. Not only for the eyes, but for the brain. We begin thinking. The spark is ignited, right? And we try to see that how can we all together unfold this mystery, that what is it? Is it something that we have seen before? Is it something really new? Is it something innovative? Is it something that we can also explore? So turning the object simply upside down can help you. Maybe you can use it in your classrooms. Maybe when you decorate your classrooms now for this new academic session, maybe you can use this trick. Whatever chapter, whatever lesson you want to do with the children, and you're bringing something to demonstrate, say a simple sapling, say a flower petal, If you place it like this, it will be straight. But instead of that, if you hold it upside down, it is something that will catch attention, right? If you're teaching them simple formulas, or if you're giving them some diagrams, some realistic images, some still life objects. So anything, if it is tilted, if it is turned upside down, it catches your attention. The second thing that you can do is play 10 things. This really requires your energy and mind. Okay. So this technique you can use with them. Play 10 things. I'll teach you how. Okay. And I would want one volunteer from all of you, anyone who would be willing to do this activity with me over here. Right? Let's start. You all can see this water bottle, right? Take any ordinary object that you have with you as teachers in the class, okay? Now, seeing this quickly, in exactly 2 minutes, what are the 10 things that you can say about this? Okay? The 10 things that you can see about this, when you look at it, it's a water bottle, it has water, it's blue in color, it's shiny, it's almost a liter bottle, it has a nice squarish shape, it's lustrous. Okay, it has a fair good capacity. It's neat and clean from inside. It's a company bottle. It's a cello product. Okay, it's easy to grip. There are many things that can come to your mind. Let it be 10 for the beginning. Okay, like that for the students also, this is something that you can all practice. Yes, Anju ma'am, correct. Blue color, shiny, water, 1 liter capacity. It has a lid on top. Correct. Right? We all have so many things to tell. Just like that, if you pick any object in your classroom, or any object which you want to draw the person's attention on, you can try this with your children in the classroom. They'll not only be more attentive, they'll be more engaging, they'll learn the concepts very fast, and it is, of course, one of the creative ways to take it forward. Now, ways to cultivate your capability. Now, if creativity is something that we see that it is a capability that we should all have, this is something that we should follow. So here I have listed 4 ways. You can list many. The first one is to understand child's perspective. This is something very important. We as educators, we, instead of just rushing to finish our lessons, or maybe something that we find is important, we want to cover that. Instead of just depending on that, let's also try and understand the student's perspective. What are they thinking? How are they thinking? Okay. The second one would be create models or rewards for them. If you are expecting them to do something, instead of just grading them, are there any other creative ways that you can involve them? Are there any creative ways by which you can reward them? Right? Thirdly, cultivate learning and the use of encouraging materials. Let's encourage them. There are many number of supplies that are available nowadays. If you happen to visit any art store, you have colors, brushes, pens, chalks, pastels, lots of things. Let them explore. Instead of just giving them some simple guidelines or rules that you should take 1 A4 size sheet, then you should use only blue color pen, and just restricting their creativity, let them explore. Let them give you n number of reasons why you should say it's a wonderful art piece, right? And lastly, build on the learner engagement. Let's build that skill for them. Let's build that skill for them. So what are we doing? We are using some teaching methods that are very useful for all of us. This can be used in any of the subjects that you teach. The first one would be role play. It's the easiest to do when you are dealing with groups. You can divide the children into different groups or different teams, and you can assign them real life situations. Any real life situation, it can be smallest as, suppose you're walking from a particular place and you see that there is a person, a sick person who is crying. As a student in the school setting, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to help the child, or as a group, have you helped the child, or you have just walked past the person, or you have reported it to some teachers, or you have done things differently, you have ensured that you got some help for the child? What did you do as a team? It can be maybe one of the projects, one of the themes of the role play, right? Like that, you can give any situation or any scenario according to your subject, according to your need. The second thing that you can do is games. You can help the child to play certain games in the groups or individually as an icebreaker. It can be for about 5 minutes in the beginning of your class to just engage them, or it can be in the end. Then there's something called case study, which you can use with the older children, because they'll be able to understand things better. When you want to explain that there are pros and cons of a situation, there are disadvantages and advantages of something, you can just give them a nice case study, and you can just let the child explore that, is this the right method, or this the right perspective, or is it something else? So case study is another useful method. Another important thing is EBL, inquiry-based learning. We all should encourage inquiry-based learning, where the child is asking us questions. Instead of just rushing up to finish our lessons on time, we should take their questions, because it will indeed inculcate creative and critical thinking in them. When they inquire about things, they become interested, they become involved. It is altogether engaging, and it helps boost their creative thinking. Another way can be self-managed projects. So project work is something that we all give in our different subjects. So letting the child handle those separately, just the way they want, just to decorate it the way they want. Okay, or even to explore the essays or paragraphs or the language, giving them just broad outlines and letting the other things be explored by the students. It's one of the essential ways to do. Another important thing that we can try is peer teaching. Peer teaching or buddy system that's there in your subject. If you do, it'll help you to not only teach effectively, but also indulge in creative thinking, because you'll think about creative ways in helping the students. Apart from these methods, there are few things that you can inculcate subject-wise. Now, if you happen to teach music, then you can ask the child to write down their own lyrics. Maybe it can be, say, about one para, one stanza in the beginning, and later you can develop. Also, you can ask the child to be melodious in a way that melody to definition or a question, so that it just flows in the brain. It can also encourage team building. You can give them as a team project. So here, music is the way. Music can also be inculcated in your regular everyday classrooms, where the children can unwind, they can relax, and yet explore. Encouraging creative thinking in the classrooms, it's something that's very essential and the need of the hour. These are few ways that you can 100% inculcate in your classrooms and get better results. The first one will be, now that you are starting a new session, you can have flexible classroom layout, where the arrangement that you do, the sitting arrangement, it can be changed. The pattern, the usual pattern that you do, it can be changed completely, and it works wonders. It will not only help the children, it will also help the children with special needs, with different needs, right? You can have some nice posters that are multicolored. It has some inspirational quotes. This will also encourage or spark creativity in the children. Another important thing that you can try is you can give them some exploratory activities. You can give them a topic out of your subject, and then you can just let them explore it through different activities. It can be team projects or it can be individual activities. It can be done in pair share, in pairs, right? And you can give them different materials. Like the image that you can see over here, here the teacher has listed a lot of things on the table, kept different things on the table like balls and bells and clay and jigsaw puzzles and strings and threads. Lot of things are available. Now, out of this, the students can choose what particular material they wish to explore. Out of this, not only the exploration will happen, but it also help the child to channelize the creative energies and learn the subject as well. Okay. Another thing that you can try is follow classroom themes. Now that you all are decorating your pin boards, your bulletin boards, and you're keeping everything neat and tidy, you can also try for this, following some classroom themes. It can be subject-wise, or it can be month-wise, it can be value-wise. Nowadays, we also we emphasize more on the art-related integration. So it can be any theme, and it will help the child to be in that atmosphere, to be in the environment and learn better. You can also help the child visualize some ideas. Suppose if you were made, giving them some stories, giving them some sentence starters and letting them complete the other half. Also, you can use some multimedia learning materials. Now that we all are digital learners, especially after the COVID times, you can certainly try different materials so that the learners will get a better hang of the things that you're teaching, and it will help them to spark creativity as well. Also, you can try different reflection opportunities. You can help the students to write reflections for whatever activities they have done. It can be verbal or it can be non-verbal. You can ask them to write maybe a 2 minutes reflection, or maybe just describe a few sentences, and it will help you to assess how much the child has learned or how creative the child has become. And also it will help the child to, just reflect back, just look at the things that the child has done. And of course, last but not the least, team building activities can be given to the students, which helps in collaboration, which helps in promoting emotional skills, social skills, and problem solving in them. Activity cards is something that's easily available on the internet. You can see different activity cards, and it promotes thinking, creative solutions and creative thinking as well. Some of the effective ways that you can try creative solutions with the children who are small, who are younger. First one would be make a superhero with new costume and special powers. Now, if there is a student in your class who is lacking self-confidence, this is a very excellent, very good technique that you can try with them. Ask them to make a superhero with a new costume that they will design. Maybe they can give a nice name, and they can also write the special powers that the person has. Okay, and feel or resonate yourself with the person that these are the things that you will also have, you are also going to have. Another thing that you can do is, if you were a chocolate, what would be your strength and why? Attaching different substances or objects closely to them and then asking to run their imaginations wild. It can be another way to spark their creativity. Yet another possible way that you can try is, how will you make a tent with supplies like bed sheets, table, 5 clips, and sticks? If we give you something, right? Not everything. What will you do? How will you do? If you divide you into teams, okay? So this is something that you can try with the students in your class, or maybe as an extra work with them. This is another example where you take these candy sticks. If a winter decoration had fallen in your neighbor's backyard, how will you retrieve it by using a sleigh, tree, and candy? Okay, so giving them these scenarios, these problem-solving techniques will help them to channelize their creative abilities in a good way. Some tools, some quick tools for all of you to start with. The first one is right braiding. This is a technique that you can use with the children who are older, who are able to analyze things or visualize and draw it well. Right braining is a thing where you mix different objects together. So say I ask you to make something that comes in your mind when you hear the word party. So suppose you make these decoration. Now say I say a word as aeroplane. Okay. Now, what do you make? You make an aeroplane. Now, according to this right braining technique, you mix these two objects together. Now, while you mix these things together, it's a combination of party and aeroplane. So it results in streamer plane. Okay. So this is a technique which leads to innovation also, where you are able to mix two or more things and create a totally new object, a totally new thing. It's very good to experiment with children in this age, and right braining really works. Another thing that we have discussed already, it's role play that you can try, and it really works. And it works wonders in case you want to help the child see the other perspective, see or relate to the other scenarios, be empathetic, be respectful, and be mindful. Purposing is another technique that you can use. In this technique, what is taught is you start asking questions to the person. Now, suppose I'm a teacher and the child comes to me and asks, ma'am, what are we supposed to do in our project in value education? And I tell the child, you have to make a file, and in the file, you need to mention about kindness. You should write 2-3 quotations. You should make a drawing, and you should write, how did you practice one act of kindness in a week? So this is something that you're supposed to do. Now the child will ask, ma'am, how are we supposed to write it? Should we write it in this format, in a particular format that we can on our own explore, or we can, whatever things you mentioned, those things and the things that we have done so far, or if we have pictures, or if we have ideas, can we put that also?